Right out of the gate here, I want to ask you a question about your candidacy in contrast with your primary opponent, Diana Gooch. Diane Gooch, as we know, is a multi-millionaire business owner. She's got a lot of establishment backing. She's already produced some television advertisements, which our mutual friend Art Gallagher doesn't like very much. He writes a lot about it, but they're ads nonetheless. You to date, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you've reported approximately like $20,000 raised.
Yes, about that. I know we have a new report coming in that may have gone up by about 10,000.
Okay, so over 30,000 raised to date, approximately. The other day, I read on Politicker that Ms. Gooch is up to 250,000 on hand. So
yes, 150,000 of which is alone.
Right.
To her campaign.
So considering all these factors, some of the pundits have argued that Diane Gooch is maybe the only candidate capable of giving Frank Pallone a credible challenge in the general election. So I guess pretend for a moment that I'm a primary voter in CD6. Why are they wrong, and why should I choose you instead?
Because money isn't going to win this election. You see, we're in a historic moment in United States history. The people of the United States are in almost exactly the same position that our founding fathers were when this nation was born. And for the first time in my history as an elected official, I am seeing my constituents, my neighbors, my fellow Americans standing up, organizing, and having their own little meetings, town meetings, conservative meetings, Tea Party meetings, whatever you want to call them. They are talking about the issues, they are clear and concise on what actions they would like to see taken, and they are the ones that are distributing flyers, putting up signs, and getting out the vote. And that's what's going to win this election. It's not going to be how much money anybody spends. It's going to be a grassroots election, and only a grassroots candidate is going to win.
So your perspective on this year's race is that money's not going to get it done. It's an ideological thing. It's a grassroots thing. What are some specific?
You do need a certain amount of money to get your message out, and we can look at my campaign from that perspective.
Right.
Obviously, the money that you would raise in the campaign is used for certain purposes.
Right.
One of which is literature that needs to get out so that your message is visible in print.
Sure.
We have that. We have phone cards. We have door hangers. We have a trifold that just went out. You need a website for technology. We've got one of those. Ours is jam-packed with content. It starts from the issues that we laid out right when the web was first published. Then we go to photos. We've got the bills that I support. We've got links down the side to Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. And there's a donate button, a volunteer button. There's now an endorsements button. We've gotten some national attention just recently. Eagle Forum has given us an endorsement as of last evening. Also, New Jersey Right to Life, the conservative GOP. They're all listed on the website. In addition to more than half a dozen Tea Party organizations within the tri-state region. So we've got a number of endorsements. From that website, we have people who are actually working as volunteers in a professional capacity, managing Facebook, managing Twitter, managing the website. These are separate bodies. We have volunteer coordinators from Monmouth County and Middlesex County. They're the ones getting the signs distributed, making sure that they're judiciously distributed throughout the district, and receiving all of the requests that are coming from homeowners and constituents in the area for either answers to their questions, literature that they want to pass out themselves, or a sign for their front lawn. So when you talk about the fundraising, sure, with respect to my opponent, these are the things she uses her money for. The difference between my opponent's campaign and mine is I don't have to pay these people. They're coming out of the woodworks to work this campaign. And they're doing all the things I would pay for. Now, as far as advertisement, we have made it to WOR Radio. We've been there for over a week. We're at the John Gambling Show and at Beck as well. And then just today, we had a wonderful fundraiser last evening, and we've had online fundraisers that have been ongoing throughout last week and the weekend. And we've just authorized an agent to get us time on 770, which would be Sean Hannity and Mark Levin. And we are also looking at now Cablevision and Comcast for 30-second spots through the weekend. So I think that we've pretty much reached our goal of getting through all of the traditional media. And we've been heavily active in the non-traditional or the new stuff for over a month now.
You've talked a lot about new media and some of the endorsements you've gotten, the Eagle Forum, for instance. And you've positioned yourself as the grassroots Tea Party conservative in this race. I mean, I think that's a fair characterization.
That's accurate.
One of the things I wanted to ask you is, looking at your opponent and comparing her to your own positions on all the various points of policy that primary voters care about, how are you guys different?
Well, I can start with some of the ultra-conservative or the far-right issues. I'm pro-Second Amendment. It's an individual right, and I don't believe in any restrictions. I believe that my opponent's position on that is different than mine. I do know that she was honored as a contributor to an organization called PAX, P-A-X. I know that they're gun education-oriented. I also think that they lobby. We'd have to look at specifics on their lobbying, but I suspect that it's gun control-oriented. I have been in her presence, in my opponent's presence, as she discussed the abortion issue. I am a pro-life candidate. Much else to say about that. I believe my opponent is not pro-life. I believe that she is pro-partial. She's against partial abortion. I have heard her state that she believes in additional education with regard to abortion, and that she wishes the number of abortions would be reduced. But that's not a pro-life stance as far as I'm concerned. So I believe we have differences in those two areas. I'm not clear on what my opponent's positions are on many of the other issues that I've outlined. I don't know whether I'm unclear on that because she hasn't formulated them yet, or whether she's just not communicating them yet. I do believe she does espouse a technique of running against Frank Pallone as if I don't exist, which does mean that she doesn't have to spar with me on the issues.
This definitely is not your first campaign. You're a mayor in Highlands. You were also, I believe, a former freeholder from Monmouth County. So you've run campaigns before, and you know that it's all about contrast in the general election between you and your Democrat opponent in this case.
Absolutely.
I know Frank Pallone right now has about $4 million on hand, which the guy's a snake, so it makes me sick, but he's well armed. But we've already kind of been through that, and you've said that you think that even though you may not have as much money as your opponent, you believe you have the money you need to have the tools that's required to unseat him. But looking at
I've already broken into the National Conservative Network, and there are a number of very high-profile individuals who have success raised through that conservative network in the exact way that I will be doing it. I've just broken in our toe. This campaign's toe is in the water. There's one more endorsement that I think I need before I begin to experience the same fundraising success that these high-profile conservatives have experienced. And I've been speaking to that organization. I've had two solid half-hour interviews, one with me alone and another with my team. And we're waiting to hear back from them. It could be that they wait until after the primary. They mentioned the words 11th hour. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. I will tell you that in the last 3 days, I have had pledges, which have yet to come in, that are in the area of an additional $10,000. Now, if we continue at that